Now, Pinduoduo are my stock of the month. Now, who are they? They're a giant Chinese e-commerce organisation doing very well over there. They've also launched a platform over in the US called TEMU that is set to take off as well. Now, they're Alibaba's worst nightmare. They've been doing really well over the last few years fundamentally over in China. Stock price hasn't really reflected that. They went shooting off up 1,000%, then giving most of that back over the last year or so, but it has great potential. And earnings bust, you might have noticed, sent the stock price up 25%, and many of you might think, well, can it keep on going? Well, fundamentally and technically it probably can, and I'm going to have a look at the charts and the analysis to see where that stock price might be heading next, and give you a few trade ideas to chuck into the mix for you to have a think about. So with that, let's take a look at Pinduoduo and see where they could be heading. So into the longer term weekly line chart, just note the ticker there, PDD, if you want to search them up in any platforms. But we can see that huge run on up through 2020, nearly 1,000% gain, and then that big pullback, losing at one point over 80%, so quite considerable pullback there. We've got this sort of head and shoulders pattern there. We've got our shoulders and our head in there as well, and we can see the break on down, not quite playing out as the rules of technical analysis should. With heads and shoulders, it should have gone down a lot further, but really it couldn't have gone much further. It just hit into this zone over here, which is around the sort of $40 mark, and you can take that over to that pullback there, where we then see the price accelerating on upwards. There was the earnings bust and that big shoot up in price, but it's been quite rangy for the last 6-7 months, and it's got to get through this zone here, I feel, around the sort of late $70, and then it's going to come into conflict again with this trend line, the neck of that head and shoulders pattern, around that 38.2% line, which is at $86 to $90, before it can seriously think about moving on up back to those highs and accelerating on. But encouraging signs. It's stabilized that big pull off, fundamentals looking better, it's progressing, pushing out new platforms, etc., and looking a lot stronger in the shorter term, but still with some work to do. Now, had a look at the line break chart, 4-line break chart, for some entry points, and at the moment on the 4-hour setup, it's giving us a bearish trade, mainly because of that big jump in the price due to earnings. And if you are bearish, then a couple of numbers for you to think about, around the mid 71s and mid 70s, to get you into, like I say, that downside price action. If you believe that was just a fleet in the night type event, the earnings, and actually it's going to pull back into that price zone where it started off in the $45 to $50. Now, into the daily Heikin-Ashi chart, we can clearly see the downtrend in play, and then we've got that sort of recovery point from those lows in here in the sort of early 20s. The 2-line pink box breakout set up. We've got a buy signal in play at the moment, so that's encouraging for that price to break on up. Look, if you take your vision over to the middle of that, we can see a lot of support, sort of overhead sort of resistance in these zones. So like I say, it's a key zone at the moment in the 70s before it gets up on into that next noise. And what are the signals telling us at the bottom? Well, the DMIs are both bullish. Volatility is actually lower than what it has been historically. Still quite high though, in the 70s to 80%. Volume spiked over that period of earnings before coming back down, and the ATR, as you can see, starting to pick up once more, indicating a bit more daily action for you there to be trading around. And then into the much shorter term Renko chart, $1.50 block size. Again, It's the same sort of picture with the trend coming down. You can see there. And what about the signals at the bottom? Well, it's all looking a bit more bullish thanks to that, like earnings bust. We got bullish DMI, stochastics and regression. See the earnings flag there, causing that to push on upwards. A lot of consolidation in this sort of zone here, and the price, like we've mentioned before, mid 30s up to sort of mid 60s. It's breaking out, trying to push on up, and if it can go on higher, where could we expect it to go to? Well, I'll be looking at this sort of near 100 area for the first move back towards those recent highs in the 140s, and then up to the 170s. So some good opportunity there to the upside if they can follow through on their potential. If it fails though, downside back into this support zone around 50, we can see there, and then into like 25s, and below that into the lower double digit figures. But at the moment, if you were just purely off the technicals here, it's been weak bearish consolidation since sort of March time, now showing those shoots of positivity and bullishness in play at the moment. And we've got the buy breakout signal as well on the 2-line pink box breakout like we had on the Heikin Ashi. That sort of combination of bottoming out in the Renkos signaling some shorter term stability in the price. So with that, let's have a look at some trade ideas for Pinduoduo. So into my broker called Target Brokers, and searched up PDD ticker. You can see it in there. So outright price you can get exposure to quite easily just by buying the stock, and it's Labor Day in the US at the moment, so markets are closed. Now I'm more interested in the options for trade ideas, and really if we're talking outright point of view on direction here, and we're thinking very bullish in the longer term, maybe look for a longer term expiry call. As you can see, there's plenty to pick from in here. Up to you. You can put maybe combinations here, build up your positions over time. This one towards Christmas, 103 days, into the new year, 138 days. Let's click on that one. Here's the calls down the left hand side, plenty to choose from in terms of what you want to get your hands on. There's the strikes down there, and the at the money's not bad value at between sort of $10–10.5 at the moment. If you want to go further out the money, then have a look at those deltas. Let me scroll through there. There's the deltas. Maybe even consider sort of more of a punt trade around the low mid $20, and you get a cheaper option, and as that price increases, maybe buy in and out of the options, trade the options instead of the underlying stock all the way upwards. But potentially some good possibilities of putting strategies together around the options there in Tiger Brokers. Now what if we were just simply spread betting or CFDing? So into my broker Trade Nation for the CFD and spread bets, typed in PDD ticker, and as you can see there, we've got the Pinduoduo rolling contract, reasonable spreads, market close as we discussed, and good thing with this is you can trade it either direction, long and short, without the hassle of shorting stocks in the normal standard world. And it's a small trade size, minimum 0.1, so 10p, and you get a 5-to-1 margin on that, or leverage on that trade. So options and sort of CFD spread bet ideas for you there. So let's now go on and give Pinduoduo a score. So based on the technicals, then with an improving situation, I'm going weak bullish for Pinduoduo. As you can see, Heikin Ashi starting to firm up and go more bullish. Renko shorter term, bit more mixed, trend still weak in my opinion, and signals wise, it could turn things around and overall gone there weak bullish. Now if you are bearish, in the top right, a couple of entry points for you which are quite aggressive in the early $70. And in terms of signals, some good risk return either way due to tighter stops. Upsize 5 to 1 and 7.7 to 1, downsize 3.07 and 3.84 to 1. So overall though, a weak bullish score at the moment for Pinduoduo. Needs to do a bit more work, I feel, on the technicals before it really firms up any bullish move. Pinduoduo then, an interesting one at the moment, and based purely off those technicals, it'd be a bit more of a gamble if you were bullish at the moment. Like I said previously, I wanted things to firm up a bit more before going in. So why is this stock of the month? Well, it's got great potential. Fundamentals are looking good. It's really one of the best, tech stocks, larger tech stocks coming out of China that you can invest and trade in, and it's got a lot of big upside potential. It's quite volatile, which can speed up those price gains, and if social media sentiment get hold of it, there's some big upsides to possibly be had. It is a risky stock though, and there are some negatives that go along with it, but it's stock of the month because I think it's got great potential, but to time it in better when those technicals warm up some more for a bit better timing to the trade. So definitely one to watch and keep on your watch list. Let me know in those comments below where you think it might be heading next. Love to hear your thoughts and opinions, and if you liked today's video, please give us the thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and bell buttons, and if you have any other suggestions of stocks or any markets for that matter you want me to analyze, again throw them into the comments below. And all that's left for me to say now is thanks for watching, good luck with the trading, and I'll see you in the next video.